But Dave, let's move on into the next bracket, 11 through 20. And let's start off at number 20, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Ty Lue. At number 19, the Portland Trailblazers with Terry Stotts. Then number 18, the Raptors, Dwayne Casey. Number 17, the 76ers and Brett Brown. Then number 16, he was a lot higher, I believe, last year in the Lakers, Luke Walton. Then at 15, the Thunder and Billy Donovan. Number 14, the Clippers with Doc Rivers. Number 13, the Wizards, Scotty Brooks. 12, the Kings in Dave Jagerbombs. And then at 11, you can take this for data, folks, David Fizdale of the Memphis Grizzlies. And the one I want to start with is the guy at 20, is Ty Lue.
The guy at 20.
Originally I had him at 11, and then I changed it because you talked me into it. Like, you didn't do a lot to talk me into it, but here's what
I'm a convincing guy sometimes.
Here's what I was thinking at first. I had him at 11 because I'm like, you know what? He's not a top 10 coach to me.
Yep.
But his team made it to the finals. So respect. And then you started talking about how, yeah, but you notice how when LeBron was on the court, his team did a lot worse. That means he doesn't know rotations. And I'm sitting there going, maybe I knock him down from 11 to 16. Maybe I knock him down a little bit. What was going through your head when you were trying to rank Ty Lue?
I had Ty Lue at 23.
I was going to let you reveal that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Why did you have him 23?
Because he's not even a coach. Like he's an extra. He's like a player's friend who sits at the end of the bench.
So he's what we thought Spoelstra was.
He gets stepped over.
Yeah, literally.
That's what he do.
AI knows that far too well.
Exactly, and that's just to me. I don't feel like he's not respected a ton by his players. It was very much LeBron coaching in clutch times, or LeBron just doing whatever he wanted to. I know a lot of people are like, no, he respects Ty Lue, that's why he wanted him. No, he wanted him here because he let LeBron be LeBron. He let the players do what they want, and that's awesome. Like we talked about this a little in the last segment.
Yeah.
When you have so much more talent than other teams, you don't necessarily need the best coach in the world. But when you're like edge, like right there, and when you're even a little below the other team, a great coach will excel you above them, and that's something where Ty Lue failed to do.
And I wanna put this into consideration is, let's be honest. When we look at the finals, the last 3 years, the two that the Warriors won, the coaching for the Warriors was a lot better. Let's even put it this way, and this is going to be, I'm spoiling this too soon.
Sure.
Steve Kerr was so much better of a coach than Ty Lue that he didn't even need to be on the court. He could do it in the locker room. Have fun, Ty. I'll just coach the team from the locker room.
I'm going to leave that beat until we get to the top segment.
But I mean, with Ty Lue, it fits, where it's like he beat you from the locker room most games. Yeah, there were the later games where he was actually out there. But like the first two, I'm going to coach him at halftime.
It's hard to say Ty Lue's contributions to this team because you can't define them off to the side like you can for other head coaches where you see what they're doing. You can visibly see the impact on the team. Ty Lue very much took a product that was already there for him and just let them be. That was his whole thing. Like, oh, you didn't like the fact that your last coach was overbearing and thought he knew basketball more than you.
Called a timeout that should have been a technical.
Should have changed the whole series. Should have changed the whole series. But no, we watched in the playoffs. This is a Cleveland team that very close to losing games to the Pacers. I know they didn't, but like every game was a nail biter, and the talent discrepancy between those teams is immense.
And I was even going to say, let's look at the finals that they did win.
I'm not even at the finals.
Okay.
The Boston series, the fact that they lost to Boston without IT. As a coach,
Avery Bradley had a pretty good shot.
I don't care.
Though.
As a head coach, that is a lapse of concentration. That's your players not being on.
That should have been a sweep.
That should have been a sweep. And no disrespect to the Celtics, but when you didn't have IT on the floor, your best player, you shouldn't have won a game. You stole one out from them, and that just shows that he was not on top of his team because a good coach wouldn't let that happen. It's a lapse of concentration, lapse of focus. And I feel like if you look back at his series throughout the playoffs, you see a lot of those similar cases.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that I was going to throw out is kind of to complete where I was. The two finals that the Warriors won, they were out-coached. And the one that you did win, I'll take the the Draymond Green being suspended, and I'm going to push it over to the side. That's part of the reason.
It's awfully big of you.
But it's not all of the reason.
Yep.
Part of the other reason you won that finals, LeBron went beast mode. LeBron said, putting the team on my back, we win in this finals. And I know Kyrie hit the final shot.
Yep.
But you're telling me everything that led up to that was not LeBron, the epic block that everyone's like, let's make that the logo. And
Yeah.
like everything that he did to get that team to that moment in Game 7 to win it. That was a Father's Day championship, I believe. Yeah, because that was the one where I'm like, don't worry.
Yep.
Steph Curry and them, they going to win it on Father's Day like Jordan did. But, yeah, I mean, Ty Lue, to me, part of me wanted to put him up there where it's like, respect, you've been to the finals three straight years.
Yeah.
But there's another part of me where it's like, you started talking about the stuff he hasn't done. Plus, and this is kind of off to the side, last thing I'll mention, is him being the coach that we've been saying, part of the reason the divide happened between LeBron and Kyrie.
Can't control the locker room. How much of a head coach are you?
Where the egos just started bumping together a little bit.
To be fair, he made it through the whole season without them imploding. I mean,
which is impressive.
Some
in its
credit
own
there,
sense.
but yeah, obviously not ideal.
But I want to ask you about kind of the upper guys in this. And the one I just want to touch and then move on is Luke Walton. This is a guy last year, I'll be honest, I overhyped him.
You had him at 5.
I know. I'll admit that. Today, I have him a little bit lower. I have him outside the top 10.
I'm at 21.
What do you see from
Sean,
Luke
18.
Walton with the Lakers this year, though? Like, last year I felt like they had a good run early on, and then it was like, you know what, everything falls off.
I think early on we saw what Luke Walton did with his broke version of the Warriors. It was like the budget Warriors was what they were doing.
The dollar store version?
Yeah, and it looked good. I'll be honest, it looked good on paper. They were successful. They were winning games. They were jacking up threes all day.
Early on, we'd go out to dinner, and it'd be on, and Dave would be like, man, I love watching this Laker team.
We were talking Lakers are an ace seed. Like, that was a serious thing early in the season. But then it was the sad realization of, with the talent we've got, what are we trying to do as a franchise? Like, where can we go from here? Are we seriously going to build around Swaggy P and a aging Lou Williams who still has value? Or are those our guys going forward? Or we play our luck and roll some dice, go for that lottery pick, and it turns out pretty well for them.
Which Magic Johnson said that's what we're gonna do.
They went full tank commander.
Yeah.
The only thing that I'm concerned about now with Luke Walton, well, not the only thing, but the main thing I'm concerned is going to be player development. Now, this is the thing where, again, we're turning over these older veterans who were pretty good in the locker room for him. Pretty good's maybe too strong for it, who were decent enough for him in the locker room, and they had a recipe for success. And we didn't see a lot of development from year 1 to year 2 out of I'm blanking
Brandon Ingram.
on him. Brandon Ingram, thank you. We didn't see a ton of development out of him. We saw more usage, obviously.
Apparently, the big news this offseason that he gained 2 inches. He's now 2 inches taller.
He's a freak of nature as far as his body size. He needs to put on some more muscle, but regardless, like, his game hasn't developed that much. We're gonna see now with Lonzo Ball what he can do with him, but even
With
Julius
LeBron
Randle
and PG-13
let's not even
next
get to
year.
Let's not even get to them because Julius Randle didn't develop that much either. Like, that's the thing is, like, you had these younger guys. What happened to your superstar point guard? D'Angelo Russell goes from superstar point guard to
being traded to the Nets.
He wasn't a leader, which, fine. If you want to call him out for not being a leader, be that way. It's very hard to be a leader when you're 20, 1 years old in the locker room, and you're already a tarnished reputation.
Let's look at it, though. They made that trade because they didn't want to have to deal with Lonzo and D'Angelo in that backcourt.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And we're getting Brolo.
Ice in the veins.
We're getting Brolo for it. So I mean,
love the ice in the veins.
That's
from D'Angelo.
that's what we're gonna do.
So yeah, he's got a lot of player development to do, and you know what? Maybe they're just gonna go vet heavy, and he'll be able to coach with that. Obviously, we'll have to see how he tweaks his style though, because we saw the broke version of the Warriors, and then we watched the tank commander go back to work.
Yeah.
So I'm conflicted on him. I think he's in a decent place right now. I think he's maybe getting a little bit of benefit of the doubt from you and Sean, but still, like there's reason for hope with Luke Walton. Definitely.
And the thing I'm trying to look for, the next guy I wanted to bring up, Sean had him lower than me. I thought that he might have had him higher, but Billy Donovan. This is a guy originally I was like, you know what, top 10. But then I'm like, And the big knock that I had, that I know that you were you're trying to sway me. This one,
That's what I do.
This one, you didn't complete the sway like you did with Ty Lue. Mm-hmm. But one of the big knocks that I had was, you know what, all your team had was Russell Westbrook. And really without Russell Westbrook, your team wouldn't have even got to the 6th seed where it was, I believe. However,
well, no shit.
You were on the side of, you know what, of how he was like, you know what, we have Russell Westbrook. Instead of steering away from it, we're going to steer right into it. And we're going to go full blast into the Russell Westbrook mode.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what you do when you lose someone as generational talent as Kevin Durant. Then I think that he did the right thing, because if you try to play balanced basketball, this is a below average team.
Yeah.
Flat out, all honesty to Oklahoma City fans, he did exactly what he needed to do to make this team successful. Mm-hmm. He went, you're going to have the ball in your hands 99% of the time. That's how this team's going to run. We want you having the ball from under the hoop on this end to under the hoop on that end. Like, period. The whole court is your playground. These guys are here to help you. And I understand they're not the best pieces to put around it. It's not optimal, but we're going to work with it. And here's how we're going to make this work for us. We've got a great defensive player at the 2 in Victor Oladipo. We've got a guy coming off the bench who can only play defense. He can't shoot the ball ever. Mm-hmm. We've got 2 bigs down low who trade off between playing defense and offense. And we don't have a 3, but let's not worry about that. You know, we can't replace Kevin Durant, obviously.
And the thing with him that I think, and here's my little asterisk for Billy Donovan, this year he gets PG-13. Could just be for a year.
It is likely for a year.
But he does get another, I'll say superstar.
Yeah, it's a top 15 player in the NBA.
Another superstar to work with, because like last year overall, and I know that year to year, it's different.
It fluctuates, yeah.
Last year he was 13. I had him at 5. I had him in my top 5 last year. This year I dropped him to 12, and he ends up 15 overall.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I just think that what he was able to do to change the way this team played in 1 year's time, and to see the results in Russell Westbrook doing something we haven't seen happen in a generation almost. I mean, it's amazing. The results were there. I think the only thing that you can criticize him for at this time was the fact that by the time the playoffs got there, like, what did you have left in a team? Like, we were hoping Doug McDermott was making shots from the outside. When you're in that situation, you're already screwed. I like the fact they added Taj. They added Taj. Taj was an amazing pickup. So for once, you got your GM backing you. You're making some right decisions. You screwed the Bulls. Good on you for that.
They had campaign turnout.
Shut up. He was your starting point guard of the future.
I know he was.
But yeah, that's where I'm like, I give all the credit in the world to Billy Donovan for being able to see a way to turn this into a winning team. So that's just me personally. Maybe I'm overselling him.
You know who's my favorite coach from this bracket?
Who's that?
We have in here? Who we've got right at... I wish he would have been on the top 10, because you can take that for data. David Fizdale. He's actually the biggest jump, I think. Yeah. He was 26th last year.
Wow.
In our coaches' rankings. Now he's 11. No, and I mean, this is a team. This is a team that's going to be interesting this year, because I like Fizdale as a coach. Yeah, I think that he fits for the Grizzlies. Plus, it helps when you get your own T-shirt with the glasses. Take that for data.
That was pretty awesome.
But the thing with this team, if you look at it, if our rankings are any indication, they have Fizdale, who's 11. They have Marc Gasol, who I think was top 10, and then they have Mike Conley, who was top 15 in our rankings. Other than that, they had a last place shooting guard. They had a last place power forward. We're
perhaps a little mean to them.
Their 6-man and their small forward were in the bottom third of the rankings. Like, I think Ennis was the one that was ranked lowest for the power forwards. This is a team that really, is it just Marc Gasol and Conley and just seeing what Fizdale can do with the rest of the team around them?
They won't fucking die. They won't go away. That's what I love about the Grizzlies. Oh, they're getting older. They're not going to be able to keep it up. The grit and grind play style.
7th seed last year.
They won't fucking go away. I love it. I love the fact that they're able to use Marc Gasol and Mike Conley, that 2-man combo. If they get anything out of Chandler Parsons
I was going to say the walking injury.
If they get anything out of him, they're even better. And that's the thing is, like, they have a recipe for success. last year was an amazing way to get in the playoffs. The year before, I mean, they were playing people out of the D League and stuff. It's just like he is a solid head coach.
Do you think he makes a jump into top 10 maybe next year?
The top 10 is rough, man. That is that is a group of veteran coaches.
Because we are getting like here. I'm gonna pull back the curtain on one thing.
on.
No, not anything about the top 10.
All right.
But like Fizdale and Yeager, they're 11-12.
Yep.
Separated by 1 point. Oh, wait, Scotty Brooks, who's one below that? Oh, he was tied with Yeager. So those three are all separated by 1. Doc Rivers, 1 point behind Brooks and Yeager. Donovan, 1 point behind Doc Rivers. And it's like Walton, 2 points ahead of Brett Brown. Brett Brown, 2 points ahead of Dwayne Casey. All of these coaches within the different three, so small between them in our rankings.
Tight. It's tight.
Like, we don't have a ton of that's 10 points between first and second place. It is micro, 1 to 3 is the
because I think coaching is something where every person will see a little something different out of a coach. What I'm looking for doesn't match what you're looking for. And this is true for rankings, but I think with players, it's much easier to see.
Like Scotty Brooks.
Yeah.
That was one where the Wizards coming into this year, I was not high on them. And the one big thing that I said is, how do you manage the egos? And this year, I think Scotty Brooks managed those egos well. And plus, like you mentioned before we were recording, is what were they able to get with Otto Porter this year? And actually, to me, make it to where he's not a waste of space out there. Where it's like coming into last year, like you would have said Otto Porter, and I'd be like, oh, you mean that guy that forgot to play defense against the Bulls where his controller
he was sleeping
died?
for a little bit.
Yeah, he took a little cat nap while Jimmy ran around him.
Yeah.
But what he was able to get out of even Otto Porter last year.
No, I agree.
And that Wizards team, they played pretty well in that playoff series. And Scotty Brooks is a guy who, even with the Thunder, was able to bring. I know he had KD and Russ. And maybe John Wall and Bradley Beal can be a little bargain market for having those two alphas on that team.
Different players, but double alpha.
But he did go to a finals with the Thunder.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the Wizards team is solid. They have the best starting. They had the best starting plus minus for their rotation. The problem is they also have the worst bench in the NBA, and whether that was all on him for not being able to use the guys correctly, or if they were just literally the worst talent in the NBA, that's up for interpretation. I like Scotty Brooks. For me, a lot of it,
because they took Boston to 7.
I do. I just think that the guys above him have a little bit something extra, and that's funny because even a guy below him in Doc Rivers, who
I was criminally
illustrious,
low.
Long career, and yet I think at this point I've kind of he's lost his shine to me. I
had him 18th.
He had 18. I had him at 13. Sean had him at 12. Here's a guy who was a top 10 coach, a top 5 coach at a given time. He won a championship way back in the day now.
Yep.
And it's just he's lost his way, and that's the kind of thing. It's kind of sad because you saw he kind of had it, and you knew that spark. And then we watch him go, oh, he got traded to the Clippers. This is going to be awesome. He's going to have a great point guard again.
He didn't leave for him. He got traded
to the Clippers. And we had these high expectations, and year after year, disappointment after disappointment. You just lose it. And that's why I think Scotty Brooks is you had your chance.
Yeah.
You were on the most loaded team in the West for a couple of years. You couldn't finish the job.
The one thing, two things. First with Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
The one asterisk I will say is, and this isn't an excuse, it's an asterisk,
just
injuries.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But you should be able to, even though Blake goes out, you still have DeAndre Jordan. You still have Chris Paul. You still had a good team, and it felt like
you still have JJ Redick.
Yeah, one person gets injured, and the whole team falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's
there's no balance.
That's one where it's maybe it's on you. When it comes to Scotty Brooks last year, playoff series again, that going back to that Boston series where really Game 7 to me was
I felt so bad for John Wall.
And I remember in this room we were watching I think it was in between fast break segments. Watching the final shot of 6 where Wall just puts it up, hits the 3-pointer.
He was feeling.
And me and you and Sean just freaked.
Yeah.
Holy shit, he hit the final shot. They won by 1. And I thought that, hey, you know what? They're going to carry this momentum going into Boston. We could get Cavs and Wizards in the Eastern Conference
that was my dream
Finals.
match. Yep.
I think that they would have maybe pushed it to a 6-game series. Maybe if let's be honest, 5.
No, I think they could have done 6.
But 6 games,
easily
like,
6.
especially if Wall and Beal
It's a team that matched up,
balled out. But like even in Game 7, Bradley Beal had 38 points and they still lost by 10.
But Wall was ice cold. Wall was ice cold, and that's how I love Beal. I've been the highest on Beal from the Fazbig podcast from a lot of places because a lot of people hate on him for his injuries, for his attitude.
And he had 33 in that Game 6.
He is a stone cold killer with that shot. He's one of the best shooting guard scorers in the game. And honestly, you have to just understand that all those numbers mean jack shit if John Wall isn't on his game. And that's the weight that is carried on John Wall's shoulders. And because they don't have a backup point guard who they could rely on, the drop-off is dramatic when he is off the court. And when he's having a bad night, you don't have another answer. You don't have a way this team wins games. So I know that's not on him to pick the personnel, but at some point you have to argue, you have to fight for a better solution than going to that bench and digging deep and pulling out nothing, you know?
And what we're going to end this with is I'm kind of going to predict your answer to the question. Because usually the question Sean asks is who makes the jump. Yeah. I'm not asking that question. I'm asking you a more specific one.
All right.
Dave Yeager, number 12. You had him in the top 10. I'm assuming then he is the answer to your who makes the jump. Give me a case for if someone said Dave Yeager makes the jump into the top 10 next year, why? With the Kings, why?
Dude, we've talked about the Kings and the hype level this season, or this offseason a lot.
Because I will admit, I like Yeager, but I have him criminally low at 21. And the reason why I have him that low, show me what you got. This is probably the most hyped Kings team that I've been hyped for.
Yeah.
Other years, it's the Kings have been shit. So show me what you got. But I like Dave Yeager. I like what he brings to the Kings.
It's a show me what you got, but we've already seen Dave Yeager as a coach for years.
With the Grizzlies, before he came to the Kings, he did phenomenally.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know what he brings as a coach, and I think with this lineup, like I just love it. I think De'Aaron Fox plus Cauley-Stein's going to be awesome. You added the right talent in Vince Carter as a veteran. You added the right talent with Zach Randolph. Even you hear that? He got cleared, boys. He's doing.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, he's doing a little bit of public service time. You know, he's gonna get back to the community, pick up some garbage in the streets. I think it was like 150 hours. Worth right there.
And the Kings are going, yes,
but
he can
look,
play.
And they've got a ton of young talent. I know they got Papa John's, who I will give shit to till the day I die. But we got Justin Jackson, Harry Giles, Scale, Malachi Richardson, De'Aaron Fox.
He's got to stay healthy in Richardson.
Bogdanovich, who is balling out in the EuroLeague championships right now. He's been doing phenomenal over there. So I think that like you have such a good array of young talent. I think this is lined up for him. This is like the table is set. All you need to do is put the pieces together, and I trust him to do that because we watched what he was able to do with the Grizzlies. Take teams that were very dependent on a play style that was not very NBA, like today's NBA, modern NBA style.
Yeah.
But because he knew how to use it, and he punished them for it when they couldn't keep up with him. When they were playing physical ball for 48 minutes, they were wearing teams down, and this is going to be a very different strategy, a different team. But I look forward to it a lot, and that's I think I'm a lot excited about this Kings team. I forgot even to mention George Hill, Buddy Hield, like
the Wooden. Put some respect on that name, Dave. The Wooden Award winner.
I'm usually the guy who calls him on that. I'm sorry. There's so much young talent and so much potential on this team. I'm thrilled to see what he can do with it, and I think that's maybe I'm a year or two soon on this. I probably am a year or two soon, but I still love the chance.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. You ready for it?
Yeah.
There will either be one of these three coaches will be in the top 10 next year.
Right.
Fizdale, Yeager, Brooks. They will take the spot of, because you guys at this point are probably like, we know who is in the top 10.
System of elimination, yeah.
Stan Van. Stan Van will be the one out of our top 10. He falls, one of those three comes in. And I'm going to be even bold. It's going to be Yeager.
Yeah, I think Yeager's got the easiest chance to prove it.
Like, part of me wants to say Scotty Brooks, but I feel like we'll knock him for... You've got the talent where Yeager might oversee
Scotty
the talent.
Brooks got to beat out this new and improved Boston team or the the Cleveland Cavaliers.
This new Boston team or the Celtics.
Or the Celtics. Yeah, either one of those
Whatever
two
you
teams
like saying.
They got to get through one of those two teams to make that jump for me. And I think the Grizzlies, I don't know, like I said,
they could miss the playoffs.
They won't fucking die. If they miss the playoffs, then yeah, he obviously is going to drop down. Yeah. But again, it's like, what have you done with the talent there? And that's you got to be impressed. Dave Yeager, just The world is your oyster, man.
I think he makes the jump. And let's be honest, he probably would have been in the top 10 if I did not have him criminally low. And I will be.
That's fine.
I will say my bad on me. My B, Dave. My B.
Maybe I'm a year early.
If I had him 6 spots higher, he would have been in the top 10.
Let's
just put it that way.
Higher.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think. Who makes the jump? Who, like, even in this range, who gets fired? Because even a guy like, I think
Dwayne Casey, you think if he fails again in the playoffs? Either Dwayne Casey
or even Terry Stotts, where it's like, hey, you know what? We've got D. Lillard. You mean Dame? We got Dame.
We got CJ.
We've got CJ.
Nurkic.
Like, it's eventually going to be, what can you do with this talent? If not, we're going to get someone who can.
They want on a heater at the end with Nurkic. Yeah. I couldn't be higher on, how that team turned.
Like, he's one where it's like maybe like not this year, next year.
They're locked into their talent, though.
Yeah.
Unless they make some very poor trades to get people out of town on bad contracts. They're locked in.
And this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below. What do you guys think?